going to come naturally. The Quebecers are intelligent people. They realize that if you want to be carbon neutral in 2050, behavior has to change. So therefore, it's going to come naturally. The government will never be asking you to have one car, two cars. But I think you cannot be incoherent by saying we're going to be carbon neutral, but nothing will change the way we live. Just intellectually dishonest.
Okay, that is the Honourable Pierre FITZGIBBON. He is our Quebec Minister of Economy, Innovation and Energy, talking in answer to a question asked today about this idea of getting half the cars in this province off the road by 2050 so we can be carbon neutral. He says in that quote, in that clip, that it's going to happen naturally. We're sitting here shaking our heads again, trying to figure out how that would be.
It's great in theory, but in practice?
Yeah. Well, let's find out. The Honourable Minister is on the line. Mr. FITZGIBBON, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Let's deal with that first clip. How is this going to happen naturally if most people are not ready to give up their cars?
Well, because I think we have, when we talk about being carbon neutral, I think with no GHG emission, one thing is for sure, just to electrify what we do will not be sufficient. I think there needs to be the change in behaviors. And, I refer to planes, for example. Will people need to take less planes at one point? Perhaps. We're going to eat differently. We're going to need to capture the current GHG that exists and to sequester it. And I think as far as the electrification, yes, we need to electrify. I think we've got a big project, as you well know. But I think, there's 5.2 million cars. I don't know how many are in Montreal, but if I think about the urban areas, I think we're going to see naturally the younger people depart from the traditional 1-2 cars per family. I think it's going to happen. It's not the government's going to impose that. It's going to happen. The younger people are concerned about the planet, are concerned about being carbon neutral, and they're going to be walking the talk.
Yeah, that works until they have kids, right? So I think of myself as a pretty typical example, Minister FITZGIBBON. I've been trying to go without a car. This summer I've been taking public transit, but as a working mom, and we got a lot of texts from listeners saying similar things, it's just not feasible. Once school starts again and you're trying to get your child to extracurriculars and then do a grocery and get dinner on the table, the car is really the only realistic option. So what do you think someone in my position should be doing?
Well, first of all, respectfully, I think we've got 27 years ahead of us. We clearly have demonstrated that we want to support structural common transit. So we need to do better with public transport. There's no question, especially in urban areas. So I think 27 years is a long time. And obviously, is it 50% less, 30% less? I don't know what the exact number is, but there's no question that the behavior will change, and the next generation, they will change, and we're already seeing it. Car sharing, for example, if you look at the number of people in the car in the Greater Montreal, it's probably not the right level. So there needs to be incentive for that to happen. If I look as well, I've been looking at elsewhere in the world, because the energy transition is not only something for Quebec, and the way we are effectively using our energy for transportation, we're not the best of class. So there are examples of places in the world, take Sweden, take even Germany for that matter, and a lot of report exists on that. So we need to be, I think, sensitive to change in behaviors. And it's not going to happen tomorrow morning, of course, and it's going to take some time. Our public transport is not where it needs to be when you compare to Europe. So I think there's a model there that we need to follow, and the government's job is to provide the environment where people would be willing to take public transport. And that's going to take a couple of generations for sure.
Well, let me ask this then, because when I hear you say this originally, when I heard that clip that we played, I thought to myself, wait a sec, he's talking about the big cities, because we know that in the regions, that public transit either doesn't exist or it's so unreliable, you have to have a car to do what you have to do. So are you talking about Montreal and Quebec City when you're saying getting half the cars off the road? Is that what you mean?
Well, first of all, the cars have to be, you're a reporter, right? Half the car is an image. There needs to be less cars. That I can confirm to you. It will happen. Whether we like it or not, it's going to happen. Now, of course, it's going to be easier in urban areas, and it will be in Gaspé, for example. But at the same time, we're working a lot with the transport company, the regional transport company, to increase the transport in the rural areas. So that needs to come as well. But of course, the low-hanging fruits will have to be in urban area. And I don't know of the 5.2 million cars or vehicles passenger vehicles in Quebec, how many of those are in urban areas? I would suspect is the majority, or a large part. So if you take a portion of that, you're getting close to the target. But the issue is not the exact number of car reduction. I think there will be a number of car reduction. That's a given. The question is how quickly, and the question is what's the government's role? So the government will not rule how many cars you're going to have. Nobody will rule me when I get out of politics. I'm going to buy the number of cars I want. The question is that will I be coherent with my desire to be carbon neutral? If I want to be carbon neutral and I vehicle that as a statement, as a goal and objective, and I got 3 cars, then I'm not going to be coherent.
Okay, but I have a question. If this is about carbon neutrality and we're pushing everyone to get EVs and the government has a plan in place to have only those kind of cars on the road by 2035, why say half the cars in total overall? Why not just say get rid of your gas-powered car and get an EV? We become carbon neutral that way.
Well, you're not going to be carbon neutral if you replace 5.2 million cars from fossil to EV. That by itself will not get you carbon neutral, because making cars is emitting some GHG. So we need to not only electrify transport or hydrogen, because we have to talk about merchandise freight as well, which is not going to be electrifiable, it's going to be through hydrogen. So we need to also try to reduce the supply chain, both on the transport of freight and also in public, using, for example, covoiturage. I think we can do better than we do right now. So I think both have to be done. Just putting cars electric, 5.2 million cars won't do it. We won't be carbon neutral.
Minister, when you say that it's not the government's job to tell you what to drive, but that it may cost more, we got a big reaction from that on the text line of people saying may cost more. Of course, it's going to cost more. Understandably, the 27 years goal, that's a long-term plan. But is this may cost more a short-term plan to get people to give up their cars? How soon should we expect that to hurt a little bit more?
Well, if you go to an EV conversion, I think, as you know, we have some incentives, some grants right now, right? And the question that was asked today, now, will we continue with those grants? Well, those grants are there to bridge the gap, because right now, EV cars are more expensive than fossil fuel. We all know that, and it's the reality. And I think it's a government job to give incentives to get people to transfer or to convert. At one point in time, in 5 years, I don't know how many years, 5-10 years, there ain't going to be any fossil fuel car or less what will be sold. And therefore, the cost of the electric car will be probably at the same level, if not lower. Mm-hmm. We've seen that in other technology. So I think the role of the government is to bridge that technology. I think it's going to happen. I think people will want EV cars regardless of the target of the government. And I think the companies, tomorrow I'm making a big announcement at Bécancour, it's been kind of known. The OEMs are going electric, fully electric. It's going to take some time.
But I have to say again, respectfully, I would love to own an EV, but it's simply not affordable for me.
You're correct. You're right. And that's why we have to provide some incentive. You're absolutely correct. But I think over time, I will venture to say that a small EV car will be not more expensive than the fossil fuel car. There's no reason, right? Mm-hmm. Because as more supply chain gets done, and we're doing a good job in Quebec making batteries, for example, right? So I mean, as we exacerbate or we increase the volume of EV material, cathode, anode, cell, I think you're going to see the price coming down.
Minister, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, finish.
No, I was just going to say, I wanted to ask one thing, and I'm thinking of this now, because if this is how we're progressing, someone brought up the idea of, you're talking 27 years from now. Do autonomous vehicles fit into your plan? Do you believe we're going to see that on our roads?
Well, I'm interested in that technology as well. I think what we've seen over the last 3-4 years is a postponement of the autonomous car, because a lot of the ethical issue, talk about AI, a lot of technical bugs as well. This is not a quantum leap technology change. So I think we may delay the time we're going to see that, but it's going to be part of it, because I think the next generation, when I was 16 years old, I ran to get my driver's license. I ran to drive my father's car. Yeah. You don't see that anymore. You don't see the same desire for the youngsters to drive a car so I think
that is true.
It makes me laugh when we speak about that, because it's not a government job to change the behavior. It will change. The young people will change their behavior. I'm convinced of that, and I won't be there in 2050 perhaps, but I think it'll be much less vehicle than we have right now. And it's my comment, which is just not to provoke, but my comment was to make people realize it's going to happen. It's a question of how we do it effectively and harmoniously.
Minister FITZGIBBON, we want to thank you for your time. We very much appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
There you go. Super Minister, if you will, energy and innovation and everything else.
I want a lot of incentives, like a lot of incentives.
You tell them that next
I want
time he comes
free
back.
electric car.